So, Vinceroy. Well, good night, everyone. Just need to bring to you an update on some very, very important matters. With me is my colleague Vinceroy Jordan, Regional MP, Region number 5. There have been so many other issues in other regions, but we need to talk about what's happening in Region 5, what has happened there today, and what has transpired over the last couple of days. I'll allow my colleague to read to you a statement, but I must say, could you share this quick one for us? Share this live so that as many persons would be able to view what we have to say here. I'll allow my colleague to read a very short statement, and then we'll talk about a few things before we end the live.
Thank you very much, Coretta. Good evening to all our listening and viewing audience. The incompetence, negligence, and uncaring attitude of the Minister of Education and the PPPC government causes severe life-threatening wounds to a parent. The government of Guyana and the Minister of Education must be held responsible for the recent wounding of a West Berbice parent who attended a parent-teachers conference today and had her head wounded as a result of a beam falling from the roof of the Bushlot Secondary School. This school has been in a deplorable condition for several terms now, and the APNU AFC coalition spoke about this school and several other schools that are currently in the same state and even worse, like the Hopetown Nursery School in Region number 5, which is now in the middle of a school term and is under construction. The Minister of Education's incompetence is evident in the management of the Karasabai School in Region 9, which was not completed after a contractor was awarded and began work on that school almost 1 year ago. These are some of the ills of the PPPC government that cause our children to suffer. At the beginning of the September 2024 school term, several teachers and parents of the Bushlot Secondary School took to their Facebook pages to decry the current condition of the school. All this fell on deaf ears as the Minister of Education was more concerned about how many new schools her government is building while neglecting several schools across the country. Priya Manikchan must be made to answer why our children are placed in danger in the nation's schools, and a thorough investigation must be launched into the state and structural soundness of the Bushlot Secondary School. Further, the Ministry and Government of Guyana must be prepared to give the best health care necessary to the wounded parent and support her through her recovery. This incompetent government must learn to listen to the concerns of our ordinary people. Thank you.
Well, we just heard from MP Fitzroy Jordan, and this has been the cry from the coalition from the time we left office, because several works we had to complete that the PPP started during their 23 years of reign, the 23 hours, the 23 years of horror that we had then. And they have returned to office with no change, absolutely none whatsoever. I'm sure the operator will show us just now. Yesterday we went to West Coast Berbice. We were at Hopetown, and you would not imagine, in the 21st century, in an oil-rich Guyana, we have our babies between the ages of 3 and 5 years in a nursery school where they have demolished one half of the school, and those babies are right there. You know what is happening with them? They're inhaling the dust from bat down, and it's urine. They're having itches on their skins. Their nose, it's burning with the smell from the urine, and the teachers and the learners are right there. I am wondering what is happening with the Department of Education, Region Number 5. What is happening with the Chief Education Officer? And these things lead you to wonder and to ask questions such as, would the minister have her children operating in this school? Would the CEO have his son operating in this school? Would the PS have their children operating under these conditions? And it shows clearly that the PPP, they have no interest in ordinary people. Their interest is in those persons who have $500 million and $800 million in their accounts. That's where their interest is, and how much money they can steal from this contract and that contract and the other one. Look at what is happening in this school here. All the materials that was taken off from what you're seeing behind there, that's one part of this school. You have materials lying in this school compound, nails up, and you have little children who have to run around there. And Priya Manichand, all she is doing is sitting around, jumping from here to there, talking about how many schools they are building. But look at what we have happening here. Now, we are in October, almost the end of October. Are you saying to me that Priya Manichand just jumped up yesterday morning and decided that some work must be done in this school? We had 2 months. 2 months of holidays. Now that you've decided to do the work here, why haven't you seen it fit to relocate these learners? Now, while we were there doing our tour, if you notice, the men are right there working. There's an excavator in this school compound. There are piles of sand in this school compound. And a building there where the walls have been torn off, but you have a stairway. What do you expect our teachers to do? On Friday last, the teachers had to wear masks. Isn't the Ministry of Education, are the officials there concerned about ordinary people's children? Or maybe because that village is Hopetown, it's in Hopetown. Colleague Jordan, could you shed some light on this? Because I know you were there with me.
Well, yes, Coretta, thank you very much. You see, this here, as I outlined earlier in the statement, is a clear example of the incompetence of the Minister of Education and the People's Progressive Party civic government. Why on earth would you wait until a school term has begun to then demolish a school and then put the children in one half, which is cramped, and have construction going on? You have nails, you have heavy duty equipment, you have sand in the compound, you have steel, you have drains being dug. All of this happening whilst we have our babies, our smallest set of children going to school. And this is only yesterday you and I visited this school and saw all this nonsense happening. And today, whilst I'm in the region here, I was informed that a parent who left home went to school to be engaged in a parent-teachers conference in the best interest of our children. Whilst they're in the school, a beam fell from the roof of the school, hitting the parent on her head, causing severe wounding to that parent. And the operator could show you one of the photographs. And look at the beam, that huge beam falling from the roof. That school has been in such a state for almost 3 terms. And this incompetent Priya Manichand runs around this country cutting red ribbons and putting up posts on her Facebook page saying to the nation that she's building the most secondary schools, and let the coalition show us which or what secondary school we have built. But we are saying to Priya Manichand that she and her government should be held accountable for this they would have caused her parent. And further to that, it is even more worrisome had this beam fell on our children who are going to school. Exactly. What would have happened? Not that I'm belittling the parent in this way, that the parent is not important, but had it been one of our first former or one of those second form, and this beam had hit that a child or children in their head. What, and God forbid, someone would have died. What would the ministry say to the
They,
parents?
they would have
Teachers are
given
teachers
they
were
would have given
complaining.
them Vinceroy, they would have given them $5 million. $5 million to
$5 million.
cover the
This is
expenses
just
of the
like the,
funeral and $5 million.
it is like the Madia dormitory fire.
Yes.
It comes back to show that they are not only a negligible bunch of people, but they are an uncaring bunch of
Yep.
people. Because
Mhm.
at this school, the teachers were crying out at the beginning of the term. We spoke about it on our Facebook pages, on
Yes.
in the various programs. We spoke about this school and many other schools, and we said to them to have it fixed. And Priya Manichan did not do anything about it. But you know what? Here now we have this issue. She's going to run like Pharaoh and Lord God overall to the school to say that she's now going to do works. But I am calling, and I know it is the position of the PNCR APNU, because I would have spoken to the leader of the opposition, and both of us, myself, we spoke earlier, and it is high time that both the Hopetown Nursery School and the Bushlot Secondary School be closed,
And
be checked,
relocated.
the structure, ensure that the structures are sound, and have the children relocated. I don't care if the ministry got to pay rent for these children to be at somewhere that is safe, that is sound, and that is comfortable, but they must not continue, especially the children at the nursery school, in those buildings, because it is not safe for one, their health, and two, that construction can cause bodily harm to them at any given time.
Vinceroy, I know that we looked at options. There's a primary school right next door. And I know that there were issues, there were instances where schools were asked to do rotation shift system so we can accommodate two schools. Why aren't we looking at that as one option? Secondly, there's a community center right opposite there. Why can't
Right.
we do some rehabilitative work to that community center and house the children downstairs? There's another location. You were going to tell me a little further down the road somewhere at Fort Wellington side there. Why haven't we not sought out options so that the interest and safety of our children could be first and foremost? Look at what is happening. Sink torn down. uh you have a sink there, both two sinks there. You have tents down there. You have wood on one side. If you were
Steel
to look at the
work.
other
Steel
side, you will
work.
see the full works down there. This is the
No.
demolished building that they have there. And so you have a stairway where children can run up there. And
Yes.
nobody is taking that into consideration. I know they had teachers, and the teachers spoke about it. They are complaining too about the itching on their skin. I mean, come on, Priya Manichan doesn't have a heart.
And
It's time for Priya Manichan to go, because she has failed before. She failed before, and she's failing again. It's time for her to go.
well,
Why do we have structures that you cannot maintain, but you're going to build new structures, and you have structures that are falling
exactly.
apart? And when it's not this
Exactly.
kind of nonsense, we have the issue where Westminster Secondary, water wars, since last term, they're having the same thing again, where teachers have to be fetching water to flush toilets. The children got to fetch water to flush toilets. We have the same thing happening at Friendship Secondary on the East Bank. Water wars there. So many schools we are having water wars. We had water wars at West Rumveld Primary. They're still having water wars. But you know what? The officials at the Ministry of Education, they feel that they can terrorize the teachers. I know they're going to come after the teachers at Hopetown Nursery, and they will want to come after the teachers at Bushlot Secondary. You know what they're doing? They're playing the bullying game where they're terrorizing teachers. I'm hearing that West Rumveld Primary, the head teacher was written to, and she was told that that's her second warning. Well, let me tell y'all something. When it's Mr. Bridgewater, whoever did that letter, the chief education officer, we will come after you. Because if there isn't water in the schools, the laws of Guyana says that you must have running water in school. And many days, there's no running water in certain section of that school. Toilets can't be flushed. I was there. 3 education officers were there. The engineers were there. Sometime last month, or maybe early this month. No, last month it was. And we saw that there was no water there. Now, because they had teacher used their initiative and sent the grades 1 to 4 children home and kept her grade 5 and 6, she has been written to talking about neglect of duty and overriding some nonsense, some foolishness.
Look,
They're writing
look
the
at the
head teacher
school. Look at the
together.
school there, Coretta. Look at the school.
You know,
That is Bushlot Secondary School. But Coretta, I know that it is because of the urgency in the matter where one of our parent almost lost her life at this school. It brought us on air particularly to speak to that matter. I know our colleague Mr. Duncan has to be on in the next 4 or 5 minutes. But just to put a wrap on it, I am saying, as a representative of the Mahaica-Borbis region, the Minister of Education must be held accountable for the injuries that the parent would have sustained. This afternoon, and some other colleagues, we met with the parent, spoke with her, and she is presently in tremendous pain. As a matter of fact, I advise her that she should seek the best possible healthcare services, because it is a head injury and not just an ordinary one. It is one that is the wound is very deep, and you have to be absolutely careful with regards to clotting and all of this moving within the head and the brain and so on. And so I want us to, I know we have to wrap up, but the parent in this instance and the incident, I have long concluded that not only Priya Manikchand must go, and not only that one Vindhya Prasad must go with all those corruption and all the things, but the entire PPPC government must go. I have long concluded that. And these are just a few droplets of the incompetence, the negligence, and the uncaring attitude of the PPPC government. And I further submit that the People's National Congress Reform, more so the APNU, we will stay on top of this issue, and none other of our parents or children would be injured as a result of the Bushlot Secondary School or the Hopetown Nursery School as it is in Region 5. I know across the country it is universal. Many other schools have the same issues with falling down steps and broken windows and broken. It is crazy. But I'm saying tonight, as I put a wrap on it so that we allow our colleague to come, that Priya Manikchand must now launch an investigation into this incident, tell us, produce a report to the nation on the structural soundness of that school, and stop having our children going to Bushlot Secondary School in what you call it. They have a term that you use where some go in the morning rotation, some go in the afternoon, and only those at the CSEC level, they go full time or all day. And just a few days ago, I understand that they brought all the children back, and the school is not structurally sound. So I call on Priya Manikchand to do 2 things at this time: tender her resignation. No, first of all, ask for a structural investigation to be done, the soundness, and tender resignation. She has caused enough injuries and suffering to our children and now parents, and so she must go.
Now, before we go, let me say, we have had too many. We had the 20th Mardia. Now we're having a parent. Priya Manikchand should now launch an investigation, and the regional education officers should write to say why disciplinary actions should not be taken against them for allowing our children to be in those unkept places. When it's not water wars, it's electricity. When it's not electricity, it's the heat. When it's not the heat, it's deplorable buildings. When it's not that, it's construction during school time. When it's not that, it's the students fighting other students to sodomize them. What is really happening in our society? Priya Manikchand must go, and we must have an investigation must be launched as to why the chief education officer must remain there. All of them must go call, and you're absolutely right, viewer. You're absolutely right. So this is all for now on this part of it, and we will keep you posted with other information as they come, as they unfold. Do have a wonderful night, and we are going to keep on this.
Good evening. Thank you.